7 subtle signs you've mastered your emotions without realizing it. Have you ever looked back on a chaotic day and suddenly realized you're not as angry as you used to be? You're no longer panicking over unexpected things. You're no longer letting someone else's words manipulate your mood like a puppet on a string. If so, you may be changing. Not in a loud way, but in a silent, profound way. A kind of maturity that doesn't need to be declared. A calmness that doesn't need to be explained. The world is driving millions of people into impulsiveness, anxiety, fear of judgment, and the need to control. But you may have stepped out of that cycle, and you don't even realize it. Right now, we'll take you through 7 quiet signs that prove you're mastering your emotions like a Stoic. Signs that aren't flashy, aren't obvious, but show that a powerful inner strength is forming within you. Sign 1. You no longer react immediately. Most people live as if their emotional trigger is exposed. Someone gives criticism, they feel hurt. Someone ignores them, they explode. Someone breaks a promise, they judge, they rage. They live in an automatic reaction state. Their emotions are controlled by others. But if you've started to pause before reacting, if you feel the surge of anger and just watch it pass like a drifting cloud, if you receive bad news, then exhale and say, "I'll deal with this later," then congratulations, you are no longer a slave to your emotions. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens that makes you suffer, but how you respond to it." When you no longer react impulsively, it means you've separated yourself from that first wave of emotion. And that opens up a space for choice, for reason, for self-control. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you don't feel. You still get sad, angry, disappointed, but you don't let those emotions drive your life. You realize sometimes doing nothing is the most powerful response. Imagine this. You're misunderstood in public. Your ego wants to respond immediately, but you stay silent. You observe the full picture, not because you're weak, but because you've chosen what is worth your energy. Not reacting immediately doesn't mean surrender. It's the first sign that you're starting to take charge, that you've begun to train one of the most important Stoic muscles, the delay of reaction. Sign 2. You no longer feel the need to explain everything. You used to clarify everything. When someone misunderstood you, you rushed to explain. When someone criticized you, you wanted to prove them wrong. You couldn't rest if others had a false image of you. But then one day you realize you're no longer like that. You're no longer drawn into the fight to defend your image. You don't chase arguments just to be understood. You step back. You choose silence. You accept that. No one is obligated to understand you. And that is a deeply profound sign of emotional mastery. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Live well and let others say what they will." Modern society traps us in obsession with self-image. We're constantly trying to explain, clarify, correct, so we're not misunderstood, so we're not judged. But that only adds chaos to the mind. Someone who masters their emotions knows. No one is required to understand you, and you are not required to make everyone understand you. They know most judgment reflects the inner world of the speaker, not your own. They realize when you stay silent in the face of attack, you are not weak. You are preserving energy for something more important. Example, a colleague talks behind your back. Before you'd lose your temper, confront them, expose them. Now you hear it, understand it, and let it go. No retaliation, no rebuttal. Because you know the truth doesn't need to shout. It lives through time. Epictetus gave a great example. If someone says you are worthless, you can reply, "Maybe," but that's your opinion. Those who master their emotions don't try to silence the world. They simply don't give those words the power to shape their inner peace. This is what Seneca called firm tranquility. Not silence on the outside, but the deep needlessness to be understood on the inside. One day when someone says something false about you, and you just smile or quietly breathe and return to your work, that is the day you'll know you are beginning to be free. True freedom is not being bound by how others see you. Freedom is living right, not living to be approved. And someone who masters their emotions does not spend their life chasing external validation. Sign 3. You've stopped reacting immediately. In the past, if someone said something that bothered you, you snapped back. Someone hurt you, you struck back. Someone criticized you, you reacted or kept the resentment inside all day. But over time, you stop doing that. You begin to pause, not reacting immediately. You feel the emotion rising, but instead of acting, you observe it. You let it pass. You don't suppress it. You don't indulge it. You watch it like a cloud moving across the sky. That's not numbness. That's the power of self-regulation. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens that makes us suffer. It's how we interpret and react to it." When you delay your response, you reclaim the right to choose. You don't let impulse dictate your behavior. You don't let anger shape your words. You don't let insecurity steer your actions. That moment, you are doing exactly what Stoics train for. Pause, analyze, then act. That's why Stoics emphasize, don't let emotions become reflexes, let reason be the driver. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by something external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Example, you receive a harsh work email. Before you'd get angry and draft a fiery reply within minutes. Now you read it and let it sit. You take a walk or breathe for a few minutes. Then you return to it with the eyes of reason, not emotion. And then you respond with calm and maturity. Not reacting immediately is a clear sign. You've created space between emotion and action, between what happens and what you choose to do with it. That space is the foundation of inner freedom. The weak are driven by emotions. The strong know how to take one step back, and Stoics see that as true strength. Seneca once said, "The wise man does not get angry at the world. He simply understands and chooses to respond with something better." Not reacting immediately doesn't mean you're cold. On the contrary, it shows you can feel, but also understand. You feel offended, but don't let offense control your life. You get angry, but don't let it drown your wisdom. And each time you step back instead of reacting, you step closer to peace. The one who controls their reactions begins to control their life. Sign 4. You no longer seek validation from others. Most of us grow up in a society that teaches, to know your worth, look into other people's eyes. They clap, you did well. They stay silent, you're not enough. They praise, you feel acknowledged. They criticize, you feel small. Then we live in a loop of likes, compliments, and stares we chase every day. Our existence tied to the approval of the world. But one day you realize you've stepped out of that loop. You no longer ask, what do others think of me? You begin to ask, what do I think of myself? That's a crucial sign. You've started to master your emotions in your inner journey. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Your happiness depends on what you think, not what others think of you." Emotionally mature people don't live for approval. They live by principles. They don't need others to nod before knowing they're doing right. They don't need praise to feel worthy. They're not shaken by compliments nor crushed by criticism. Epictetus taught, if you wish to be free, care not what others think of you. You may see this in your own life. Before, when you posted something online, you constantly checked for likes and comments. Now you write because you want to. You share what you believe in, not to impress, but to be honest. Before, when doing good, you hoped someone would notice, to acknowledge. Now you simply do what's right, even if no one's watching, because you know the only one who needs to see is your conscience. That's not apathy, that's independence. Stoics see independent thinking as the root of inner freedom. They live first to be worthy to themselves, not to be elected or applauded. Seneca warned, if you place your value in others' hands, you also give them the power to take it away at any moment. The strong don't need external confirmation to feel worthy. They don't seek light from the outside because they've begun to light a fire within. And when you no longer live to be praised but to be right by yourself, you enter the deepest freedom, to live by reason, by virtue, not chained by the need to be admired. Then you no longer need the world to define who you are because you already know. Sign 5, you've stopped blaming circumstances. When life doesn't go your way, the first instinct is to find something or someone to blame. I suffer because my parents were too strict. I failed because my boss played favorites. I'm unhappy because this society is unfair. I can't find peace because the world is too chaotic. All of those are reasons and traps. Epictetus once taught, it's not the circumstances that hurt you, but how you react to them. When you blame the outside world, you're handing over control of your emotions to the world. You live like a boat without a rudder, surrendering yourself to every storm. Then comes a shift in mindset, and you grow silent. You're no longer angry at the world like before. You stop seeing culprits everywhere. You begin to ask, what can I do in this situation instead of sitting here complaining? And that is a clear sign you are mastering your emotions. You are living like a true Stoic, not through words, but through responsibility. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, don't hope that the world will bend to your will. Learn to master yourself to face whatever comes. A Stoic wastes no energy on what they cannot control. They don't try to change the world before they change themselves. They understand circumstances don't define you. Your reaction does. When you stop blaming, you begin to grow. You realize the past, however painful, can't be changed, but you can change yourself today. You realize no one owes you an easy life, but you owe yourself a just way of living. Seneca said it clearly, what matters is not what we face, but how we face it. Think back to the last time life hit you hard. Before, you'd blame others for your pain. But this time, you told yourself, it's okay. At least I learned something here. And you moved on. Calmer, wiser, no longer needing anyone to take responsibility for how you feel. You don't wait for an apology to forgive. You don't wait for the world to change before you act. You don't need life to be fair to live with virtue. You simply choose one thing, to be responsible for your inner life. And in that moment, you become stronger than most who shout, I am a victim. The Stoic never allows themselves to be a victim because they understand it's easy to be wounded, but healing is a choice, and only those who take responsibility for themselves have the courage to make it. Sign 6, you stay calm in praise and criticism. There was a time in life when you were obsessed with what others thought of you. You feared judgment, misunderstanding, being left behind. A compliment could light up your whole day. A critique could shake your heart, spark anxiety and endless overthinking. But eventually, when you become still enough, observant enough, you realize not everyone will understand you, and you don't need them to. Not every compliment is sincere, and not every insult comes from a bad place. You start to go silent in praise, and you also go silent in criticism. Not because you don't care, but because you understand. Neither compliments nor criticism define who you are. Epictetus emphasized, if someone insults you, ask yourself, have I truly been insulted? If you choose not to feel insulted, then you haven't been. Stoics understand that all judgments from others lie outside their control, and the only thing within their control is how they respond. You may hear praise with gratitude, but you don't depend on it to feel valuable. You may accept feedback with calm, but you don't let it destroy your self-trust. That's a sign you've mastered your emotions. You are not lifted by praise nor sunk by blame. You don't try to please everyone. You simply strive to live by your values. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Let others think what they will. My task is to live with reason, and so do you." You choose to live by reason, not fleeting emotions. You don't act to win approval. You don't speak to be liked. You don't need the world to love you. You just need peace within yourself. That's when you enter a rare state, where praise doesn't make you arrogant and criticism doesn't break you. You are confident but humble, strong yet gentle. You walk through life as an observer, aware of your position and untouched by the crowd's gaze. When others praise you, you smile. When others misunderstand you, you still live by your principles. No arguments, no explanations, no performance. Because you understand, those who live deeply are often the quietest. Sign 7. You no longer fear being alone. There's a kind of silence that is no longer frightening. An evening alone, no music, no messages, no one checking in, and you don't feel empty. You sit with yourself, and you no longer want to run away. You don't need Netflix, social media, or a temporary relationship to fill the void. You no longer see loneliness as failure. You see it as sacred space to return inward. When you can live fully with yourself, that is the clearest sign. You've mastered your emotions. For the Stoic, an untrained mind always panics in the face of silence. Epictetus taught, when you are alone, look at who you are with. If you're in the company of someone you'd rather avoid, and that someone is you, you will never know peace. Today's world teaches us to fear loneliness like death. We learn to live in crowds, but never to sit with ourselves. That's why many feel lost, even when surrounded by laughter and lights. But the Stoic chooses another path. They do not fear solitude because they know the value of stillness. They don't rush to fill the gap because they know peace is born from inner power. You no longer need someone beside you to feel worthy. You don't need someone to confirm you deserve love. You realize peace doesn't come from outside. It comes from accepting yourself, even if you're still healing, even if you're not perfect. When you stop running from loneliness, you stop being ruled by emotion. You know when to move forward, when to step back. You don't cling, you don't chase, you give without fear of losing. And if someone leaves, you're still okay, because you know the first person who must stay with you is you. Seneca wrote, "A stable mind does not need a crowd to live well. It is complete within itself." And if today you're living through quiet days, you can sit alone without boredom. You can walk alone without feeling lost. Then you've already gone further than many, not because you are better, but because you've learned how to be within yourself, without feeling like anything is missing. Loneliness turns out to be the gateway to freedom. Once you pass through it without fear, you are no longer so easily hurt by feelings or by people who leave. Conclusion: emotional mastery does not mean you feel nothing. It doesn't mean becoming cold or hard. It means knowing where your emotions come from, what they mean, and not letting them pull you off the path you've chosen. The Stoic doesn't try to eliminate emotion. They simply don't let emotion control them. We may feel anger, but we don't react impulsively. We may feel sadness, but we don't let it swallow our lives. We may feel disappointment, but we still keep our dignity and don't blame others. Epictetus once said a short line, but one powerful enough to awaken a lifetime. No one can hurt you unless you allow it. And you, the one quietly sitting here watching this video, might already be stronger than you think. You don't complain loudly. You don't prove yourself with words. You don't need others to understand you to feel whole. All of that is already a sign you're mastering your emotions quietly, calmly, like a true Stoic. And if you're walking this path, know this: you are not alone. There are millions out there trying to steady their minds amidst the world's chaos, just like you. Leave a comment below. Share which stage you're at in this journey of emotional mastery. Share what you've discovered through these signs. And if this video resonated with something inside you, share it with those you love. Subscribe to Stoicism Empire to continue walking with us on this path of training reason, living mindfully, and becoming strong from within. Stoicism Empire. Stoicism doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you someone who can't be controlled by emotion.